Hi, I'm Maggie McGarry with the Society of Fire Protection Engineers in Gaithersburg, Maryland. You're watching 6 Degrees of Association with Sarah, Rob, and Andrew.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 6 Degrees of Associations. My name is Sarah Gonzalez, I'm from Redback Conferencing, and thankfully after 3 episodes I'm actually still your host. Today we are joined by Rob Barnes from Aptify. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sarah.
And Andrew McCallum from Fitness Australia.
How are you, Sarah?
Very well. After 3 episodes, who wouldn't be this well?
It's great.
It's an exciting time.
It is.
It's amazing to think that we're still allowed on the air. But I also think the feedback's been awesome. So really, we have to keep going. The people have said.
The people want us.
Yeah. We've kept it pretty clean so far, so let's keep going with that too.
So for those of you who have just joined us for this episode, this is a place for associations. Every episode has feature stories, regular segments, and everything needed to bring associations into the 21st century. So first of all, we're just going to go through some feedback that we received from the last episode. So we did speak about Museums Australia and how they've actually merged with Museums New Zealand.
Putting on a joint conference together too,
Yeah.
the 2 different bodies, so, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and a lot of the feedback from that was it was great to see associations coming together and actually working together. I think that's something that we would all like to see a lot more of.
Well, in the context of the other topic that Andrew introduced last time about competition, them actually collaborating together to deliver value is a huge part of what associations need to be thinking about to achieve success in the 21st century. And there's a great example of collaboration for that purpose.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. And then we also spoke about something that was your thumbs down at the time, and that was some of the research that came out regarding boards. And, a few comments were, why are you surprised that this only happens, that, you've got over 50% of people not regularly reviewing their boards?
Yeah, and maybe my naivety spells through there, but yeah, it just disappoints me. Maybe not surprised, but disappoints me that so few really are involving themselves in that fundamental performance enhancement access.
Well, self-reflection is hard for everybody.
Yeah.
However, when you think about the value you're trying to create for your industry, for your profession, boards absolutely need to be thinking about putting these self-reflection or these feedback processes in place. There's no question. So I'm not surprised that it's as low as it is, but I hope that at some stage it starts to pick up and we can report successfully in a year's time that it's grown from 42% to whatever it is at that point.
That would be great to actually take a look on.
Agree.
Now we're going to get to another very exciting section, which is thumbs up, thumbs down. So a chance for our lovely panellists to sit here and tell us what's really getting under your skin and what are you loving at the moment. So let's start with you, Rob, and let's talk thumbs up.
Yeah, thanks very much. So thumbs up. So not that long ago I had the opportunity to meet the then CEO of the Financial Planning Association, a guy called Mark Rentel. Great guy. Did some amazing things in his tenure as the CEO of the Financial Planning Association, and my thumbs up is to both him and to the board of the organisation at the time from a succession planning perspective. He made sure that the organisation was talking actively about his replacement. And succession planning is probably as hard as board feedback, right? But he knew that his time was coming up, that he wanted to go and achieve other things. They had open conversations about that. He put in place a succession planning program, which ultimately resulted in the appointment of an internal candidate. A competitive process, but the succession planning process made sure that their internal candidate was highly commended into that, and he won the job. So good on
a smooth
Dante
transition into the new role.
So the thumbs up also goes to the board, who had the courage to ensure and probably support Mark at the time to make this happen. And so I think the whole organisation will succeed as a result. And also the industry itself looks at the association and says, here's someone leading by example. So thumbs up to them. So thumbs down, death by PowerPoint. So I get to present a fair bit. I've seen some presentations, but even worse than death by PowerPoint, death by bullet point on PowerPoint presentations. Seriously, people, go to Guy Kawasaki's website, 10, 20, 30 rule of PowerPoints. Use it fundamentally. Get some decent images on there. So I guess the Molly Meldrum, do yourself a favour, ditch the bullet points on your slides and do a decent presentation.
Yeah. Oh, Molly.
That's right. Oh, nice segue into your thumbs up, Andrew.
So yeah, I give thumbs up. I can't go past the Australian superannuation funds. A short time ago, they had their national conference, and how's this for integration and talking about new technology? They had no less than Kevin Spacey appearing via hologram, presumably from the US, talking about the impact of digital disruption on the world's economy. So really breakthrough way of really integrating a topic and integrating, getting a bit of a celebrity cachet, if you like, to the event as well. So I'm a big fan. I wonder if he did his Francis Underwood Deep South accent. I think that would have been something pretty special. House of Cards.
House of Cards, that's a great show. Yeah. Digital Disruption, Kevin Spacey, Australian Superannuation Funds Association.
Join the dots on those, as they say.
That's amazing.
Thumbs down. I've got to talk a bit about a pet hate of mine, and that's of people in associations referring to sponsors, members as my sponsors. My members. I've got this many members, and it's just something that really, dare I say it, grinds my gears a little bit.
Are you okay?
Because taking ownership of the membership function or the sponsorship function or whatever it may be is one thing, but it's almost viewed as a bit of selfishness. It's about mine, and they belong to the association. They're assets of the association, and they're only there as long as they're getting value from the association. And I've never heard anyone say they're my complaints necessarily either. And really, you take the good with the bad. They're your members. They're also your unhappy members in some cases.
You get some of the best value as a relationship manager out of the naysayers, out of the complaints, right? You create a connection.
Yep.
Owning that's actually probably a great way to create some value. So.
Yeah, most definitely. But thumbs down to that sort of language.
Okay. Yeah, and Andrew, just on the hologram and the experience at the conference, I think working in technology, we're seeing such a shift and people are moving faster and faster and faster. And there was a time when we thought associations were sort of standing back a bit and not adapting as quickly as some other industries, sectors out there. But we see now that people are just getting right into it. We're seeing disruptive technologies come in and disruptive in what we're doing as a company. So do you think it's going to be long before associations have their conferences and everything's just technology?
Oh, look, undoubtedly, there's that opportunity. There's always that need for face-to-face, that traditional presentation. There's going to be a keynote there, physically there, presumably, and there always will be. But, the sky's the limit as to what the opportunities are. And this is a great example, I think, of, really using that technology and really creating a signature event at a conference for its members. So,
I'll tell you what would be interesting to find out. Yeah. Is who was the staffer there that had the courage? It takes some courage to walk in and suggest.
To put your hand up.
This is what I'm going to do. That's someone who we need to have on the show.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, Australian Superannuation Funds, let us know who that was, because I think that's a fantastic initiative.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it would take some guts because there's obviously a lot of risk and expense, no doubt, in doing something like that.
100%.
So we're now on to lunchtime special, and also just a reminder to hashtag 6DA for any questions, thoughts, feedback, comments. This is a part where we have these two guys go at it and I sit back, take a little break and let them talk and talk and talk until I say, stop, I've had enough. So why is strategic planning a waste of time? And this is their question, not mine. Off you go.
I love this one. I actually think
I'll elect to receive on this one, Rob, if you like.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm kicking off for sure. So having been in associations a really long time, where at one point early in my career, I'm confident that doing the strategic plan was almost the entirety of my job. It was like this process that I could follow and I could deliver this great tangible thing, and it was like, yeah, I did the strategic plan. It's like, and I'll do it again the same time next year, I'll be back next year. So I think I've been on a bit of a rampage around, I just don't see the value of it anymore. I don't know that I saw a great deal of value out of it then, but I don't see the value of it anymore. The challenge to associations is, okay, so number one, if it worked, it'd be redundant by now.
Yep.
Surely.
Sure.
We wouldn't have to do it ever again if we actually were able to map point A to point B and do everything that's said in the document and get there. We wouldn't have to do it anymore because we would have arrived. But that's never happened as far as I know. It's a linear process, and as soon as you set up this linear process, particularly in the internet age, the digital age, I think it's bound to fail. It takes out of the equation so many of the variables which determine association success now. I'm done with it.
The point you make is a good one. Theoretically, much of your job was spent writing a strategic plan. how was your success measured in that? Was it that you wrote it, or was it the strategic plan was actually effective in guiding the association? And really, and that's where, I see this as a strategic plan is not a live document. It's written, it's reflective, hopefully, of the environment that it was and the time that it was written in. But the world moves.
It's about
the world moves, the economy moves, the industry moves, but the strategic plan sits still.
It's too much about the planning and not enough about the actual strategy. And the planning gets to that point where you're trying to demonstrate to the board, who are then supposed to be then demonstrating to the industry or profession, this is how we're going to get from here to there. And it's almost as soon as it's published, it's out of date because the world moves so quickly.
And and the worst thing, you think, well, okay, we're tied to this strategic plan. This is how we're going to define our organisation over the coming future. But again, but how do you then sort of resonate that with, okay, let's think creatively, let's move forward, let's look at the shifting environment that we're operating in and let's think differently. But you can't, because you're operating on that strategic plan, and there's nothing more devastatingly sad, I think, to hear in an organisation of any kind that, well, here's a well-researched article that's credible, that's an initiative we should follow, but it's not in the strategic plan. And that's something which I think happens all too often because the organisation is really tied to that strategic plan, and it's to the detriment ultimately of the organisation.
I feel like there's not enough discussion around what is purpose as opposed to the plan. There's a lot about the plan and not a lot about the purpose of the organisation. I feel like a lot of strategic plans in the documents, and you get to read a lot of reference points that are available on the internet, and they are as much about self-preservation of the association, where I feel like there is an opportunity with any sort of information product that an association produces to say, this is the value we're trying to create for our industry. This is the value, this is the impact we're trying to have over a period of time. Hey, fine, not a problem. Sure. But we have no idea what the world is going to look like in 3 years, let alone 5, let alone 10. Creating a vision, not a problem. Creating a purpose statement, again, absolutely required. But the idea that you can create a linear path between what we're doing today and what our future state looks like, and that's the path that we'll follow and actually get there, it's done. It's failed. It hasn't worked, or else we wouldn't have to do it anymore. And yet we seem to perpetuate it, and associations spend a lot of time and money continuing to do strategic planning and workshops and retreats.
Yeah, associations being so transient in terms of boards and so forth, is a new board coming in, and are they really going to be tied to a strategic plan which was made by their predecessors almost, and think, well, they've got new ideas, they've got new understanding of the reality. It just seems such a backward way for organisations to work. And the other story being that the old theory that 2/3 of Fortune 500 companies weren't even around 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And probably, and again, another half as many won't be around in 10 years. That sort of change in the global environment really defines the fact that the strategic plan shouldn't be a path anymore.
So the naysayers in the audience and out there are going to say, okay, so what's the alternative? You guys have picked apart strategic planning, or our poor strategic planning consultants out there are going, what are you talking about? It's still relevant. Relevancy.
What are these two blokes know?
That's right, but what's the alternative? Okay, so the alternative are things like creating a painted picture, for instance. Yeah. What is the impact that we seek to have on society as a result of the work that we do through our association, through our network, through our people, through our resources? It's about creating meaning.
Yeah, you said it. It's a vision statement. It's principles. It's what's going to guide you as an organisation to be receptive to new ideas, to new ways of operating, and to actually continue to be a part of your industry that you're operating in. Too often, I think, Sarah, one of the challenges with this altogether is that the strategic plan is written with this sense of it's isolated from the rest of the world. Our association is going to go from here to there, and whatever else happens out there can't materially impact that because we don't know how to report that to a board. And that's a real challenge, particularly in the 21st century when we talk about disruption and we talk about these things.
It's dangerous too, right?
Well, it's Kodak.
Yeah.
It's BlackBerry. It's all these organisations that are taking their, what would be called taking their eye off the ball, and not realising it's having a set of guiding principles that says we're going to get from here to there, and we understand, but we're going to have a culture that keeps a track of what's going on in society, what the mood of the membership is, what the mood of the industry and profession is, and adopt, complement, react, that's fine. The linear process is dead.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked. And
I think, we've got some comments coming through from the online audience as well. So Emma said, we've actually started reviewing our strategic plan and it's a lot harder than what we once thought. So no doubt it's a pretty big process for everyone involved. Tom says we now have a visual representation of our plan so everyone in our organisation can see what they're responsible for, which could be a good idea.
I love the fact that it helps create ownership, sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
and accountability.
Like pictograms and infographics and stuff have been a fantastic new way to communicate what used to be a 30-page placeholder or doorstop now in a meaningful way that's easier to absorb. So you can create a sense of ownership amongst a broader audience because it's easier to absorb, to consume. But at the same time,
it still comes back to that point, doesn't it?
That's right.
Are you going to hold those people to that, irrespective of the operating realities around you?
And what happens if you want to change it? The process by which you would have change, table it for a board meeting, have it ratified by the board, those sorts of things. That's not how decision making happens anymore. And we haven't adapted our association processes to suit.
So now we get on to a very, very interesting segment, which I always look forward to. So there is an association for everything, and at this time of the show, we actually prove. So we have Andrew go all over the internet, try and really make it a point that there is an association for everything, and you found something very interesting, haven't you?
Something a bit close to my heart, actually, Sarah. Growing up, a very good friend of mine had a Samoyed. The family had a Samoyed, Tina it was called. It was a lovely dog. And this week I want to talk about the very reputable organisation for the Working Samoyed. Headquartered somewhere around Minnesota, USA. Please tweet us if you to tell us exactly where. But the OWS, as I term them, it's a great association. They have the following objectives. They want to encourage and promote the working heritage of purebred Samoyeds. They want to develop the Samoyeds' natural working abilities to the highest levels. They want to preserve and protect the interests of the breed by encouraging high quality. They don't want it breeding with a Kelpie cross, for example, I imagine, Rob. They want to foster good sportsmanship and enjoyment in competitive and recreational dog sports. So check out their website, ows.org, and they have a Facebook page as well, and for just $25 you can join as a family member. So yeah, the OWS, glad to have you as part of this segment. We salute the fine work you're doing, and I'm going to redouble my efforts and now look for the organisation for the working sausage dog. That's my task.
I'm loving
for the next couple of weeks.
The pet theme coming through from some of these organisations. I love it.
We'll hold you to that.
All right.
The sausage dog, we'll fire that. No doubt. We have faith in you.
A lot of working sausage dogs.
So this is a 2-minute warning, guys. So 22 minutes is a short time to bring everything together, but we understand that we want to keep this as succinct and straight to the point as possible. So this is a time where we actually talk about some of the stuff that's come through over the last fortnight. We actually have someone who, Luke's actually said via a tweet after last time we actually did the show, how can we find all this content on demand? People obviously can't always be at the same time at the same place where they want to watch us live. So believe if you just want to give the details for associations.
That's right. So we've been lucky enough to get the support of the team behind associationsuccess.org. And so the idea being that we will have the on-demand show published on associationsuccess.org in the 6 Degrees of Association community.
Great.
And there's a great opportunity for us to share some of the documents, obviously the shows on demand, the video files, bunch of community discussions going on there. So associationsuccess.org is where we'll go. We'll be able to share the link and share the on Twitter and on the show itself.
Yeah.
And make sure it gets out there and people get access to everything that they need.
Great. And get involved as much as possible, guys. It's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Closing comments before we shut down.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I wanted to share. One is Associations Now magazine, great place to go to get a heap of content that relates to associations. It's from the American Society of Association Execs. Do check it out. And the other one too, if you're a conference organiser, Velvet Chainsaw. One of the best company names I've ever seen, but these guys are writing some great stuff about creating conference experiences for learners. An awesome place to check that out, velvetchainsawconsulting.com.
Velvet Chainsaw Consulting.
Yeah, it's perfect.
There's a double entendre there.
It's one of the best things, but it is producing some great content, and we'll get those guys included in association success as well.
Yeah.
No, great. Yeah, look, closing comments for me, just please keep the comments coming, good and bad. We'll take them both. But yeah, great to get some more feedback. Obscure associations, content topics, really open to the feedback and suggestions. And thank you very much for your contributions.
Great. Thanks, guys. Thank you both for joining me again. It's
Thanks,
been
Sarah.
fantastic.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Remember, #6DA for any future comments or suggestions or questions regarding today's show. And also go to associationsuccess.org to share some more feedback, take a look at some previous episodes that we've actually run. That's a wrap from me. And just remember, guys, that too much agreement always kills a chat. Bye for now.